สวัสดีครับแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะครับและลำดับต่อไปเป็นเซสชั่นสุดท้ายของวันนี้แล้วครับแต่ก่อนที่เราจะเริ่มเสวนานะครับสำหรับท่านใดที่อยากจะส่งคำถามถึงผู้เสวนาตลอดการเสวนาสามารถทำได้ครับง่ายๆครับเพียงแค่สแกน QR code ที่ขึ้นอยู่บนหน้าจอณขณะนี้นะครับเพื่อส่งคำถามถึงผู้เสวนาครับและหัวข้อต่อไปนะครับจะกล่าวถึงทิศทางการให้บริการทางการเงินแก่ผู้บริโภครายย่อยครับ
So welcome all you back once again to the last but not least session here. You can easily send the questions to panelists by scanning this QR code being shown on the screen right now. So the next session will be the next generation of retail payments, the future of consumer experiences. We get a great honor from Mr. Sam Tanskul, the Managing Director from Krungsri Finovate, and the rest of the panelists. So I'll hand the floor over to Sam, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the attendance today. Thank you. ขอบคุณมากครับ So I think we are in the last session, but of course the topic is, I think is very interesting. Once I have received the invitation from the Bank of Thailand on this topic, so I'm very glad to hear as a moderator, and also to make this session more productive and more effective for you guys. I think we have the key players from the FinTech ecosystem. I think they are, all of these four gentlemen are the best. I could say this is the best four person in this industry in Thailand and could impact us in our two regions. First of all, can you give a big hand to Mr. Thana Thienachariya, Chief Marketing Officer from Siam Commercial Bank or SCB. You know this guy very well. He's very awesome in this industry for the banking one. Next, can you give a big hand to Mr. Francois Hribovsek, Senior Director, Digital Development and Solution from Visa Singapore. And next, it's not easy for Grab him to come here, but this is a best time for here. Also, for Mr. Thomas Greco, Special Advisor from Omisego and Ethereum. Last but not least is the, if you heard a big news a few weeks ago, there's a big player of the e-wallet in Thailand, Mr. Lee Jin-woo, CEO, Rapid Line Pay Company Limited. So welcome to all the panelists today. Thank you for joining the sessions. As the topics, we are talking about the next generation of retail payment and future consumer. Can I ask each of you shortly, what guys are you doing at your working place in the banks or in the fintechs, and what will be the trend for the retails and consumers technologies? Can we start with Thomas?
Yeah, sure. So what we're doing is a little bit different, and let me just explain first. So Omisego is a company. And it's a private company, but the project that Omisego is building out is an entirely public project. It's an infrastructure project. It's a project that will allow for the payment or trading of any digital asset in an end-to-end, completely decentralized way that existing businesses, payment processors, payment gateways, financial institutions can all plug into and take part of, in their kind of commerce-oriented proprietary ways. And yet the underlying layer is essentially public Ethereum technology. And so the backbone is essentially a public good. And on top of that, what Omisego is also building is a white label wallet SDK that existing e-wallet providers or new e-wallet providers can also use to plug into this completely public, completely open, and therefore very, very low cost and very, very high efficiency network without having to ask permission from anybody, including Omisego. We think that what this is essentially is this is an infrastructure play that will allow the entire fintech space to converge on a protocol that is not owned by any member and yet has a very robust and strong way to keep the rules very fair and very advantageous to everyone. And we think that the future really can proceed in many different directions with many specific technological developments, but as long as the underlying base layer is completely public and completely accessible and open source, then anything that gets built on top will be value adding as opposed to rent extractive. That is, anybody that wants to build on top will be able to charge money for it, but only by providing a valuable service rather than essentially enforcing a monopoly. And so that, I think, is the most important aspect of what we're trying to do, and also the most important aspect for determining a strong future for the fintech industry.
Okay, so how about I heard you are doing the open platform one for the Omisego. So what will be the trend that you're looking for, the open source one?
So Omisego is building a platform, you could call it that, called the OMG network, which has very, very fast transaction throughput. Should be able to support over 1 million transactions a second. That's the aim, and that's actually a fairly conservative aim because the technology that is being used, the architecture that is being used to build it, which is called Plasma, is theoretically capable of doing billions of transactions per second. This is all blockchain technology. This is all on-chain technology, and this is possible because of a new style of architecture that until late last year just wasn't even available. The idea behind doing this open platform is not to disrupt any existing financial industry or institutions or players, but is to provide a greater opening that the incumbents, the existing players, can plug into in a way that doesn't prevent new players from entering the market and providing services that are valuable to end users and to consumers. And we feel that as long as end users and consumers can also have a part to play, if they choose, in operating the platform itself and in deriving the economic incentive for operating the platform, because in blockchain technology, the economic incentive is what gives the platform security, is what gives the platform enough power that it does not need to rely on a very, very powerful middleman or a very powerful company or a very powerful country to enforce the security of the platform. So when end users have the ability to collectively participate in operating a platform, you can say, then what you get is you get a very, very powerful platform that is able to provide the kinds of services that end users themselves actually want.
Okay, thank you. So since we are sitting in a BOT, we shouldn't talk about the crypto or OMG one. Okay. So no talking about the price of the OMG now. Okay. Even the governor is already sitting here. Okay. So next, can we ask about the what is the Rapid Line Pay doing and the trend in the future?
Hello everyone, I'm Jin-woo, live from Rapid Line Pay, and until early this month, Rapid Line Pay was a joint venture between BTS Group and Line. So we had 50% and 50%. And
50-50.
50.
Okay.
Now 33 between 3 companies. Now
Who are they?
AIS. We announced on March 5th. On Monday. So now I have 3 different boss to report. So actually AIS is calling me 7:30 a.m. in the morning, and between Korea, Japan and Thailand there is 2-hour difference. So around 9 p.m. I need to report to my Korean boss based in Japan. And after that I need to report to BTS. So it's a joint venture between 3 companies, and we are about to launch our BTS service. So basically, Rapid Line Pay will be a mobile messenger embedded into the #1 mobile messenger, and then we'll have virtual rabbit card sometime soon. We plan to launch it in June this year. And also with AIS, we already started a lot of several projects. So if you use AIS, I believe most of you guys use AIS, hopefully. And I'm not here to support AIS, but so in AIS app, before the people are checking the remaining balance, and not everybody was using payment, but we already integrated into my AIS, and then you can begin to make a payment, and you can get quite a lot of user incentive. So as of now, we are building up this core business through the partnership between Line and BTS Group and AIS.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. So now you become the AIS subscriber already.
I've been AIS user ever since I came here 7 months ago.
Okay.
ปีที่แล้วครับ
The right one. Okay. Next, we'll be asking for Visa, Francois. So as you are very a key player in this industry and in these regions, so what Visa are doing right now, and what you see the trend of the SME and the consumer financials?
Yes, thank you very much. So the few trends we see, I would see the first one obviously is an evolution to digital payments, right? So, and this is driven obviously by the evolution of technology in this region, but also by the demographics. So if we look at Southeast Asia as a region, about 50% of the population is less than 30 years old, right? And the same way this generation is not using Polaroid to take photos or CD to listen to music, what they demand is to be able to do digital payment. So today it is with their mobile phone or with their tablet. And actually about 65% of users last month did at least one mobile transaction during the month. So mobile transaction can be a QR code transaction, it can be a contactless transaction, it can be a mobile commerce transaction. So what we see is like there is this evolution towards mobile payment. But in the future, mobile are just the first of the connected objects, okay? With Internet of Things, we can imagine that by 2020, when there will be 20 billion connected objects, transaction will come from your fridge, from your washing machine, from your car, and not just from your mobile or your tablet. So what that means is like we need to be ready for this evolution. And you can see that in this context, the plastic cards as we know it today is not going to be relevant in the future, right? What is going to be relevant is actually the credentials. And actually at Visa, less and less we refer to Visa cards, but more and more we talk about Visa accounts or Visa credentials, because in the future this is how we're going to talk about it. So if I think about our mission, it's really to make payments safer, faster, and more convenient. So in order to achieve this, what we actually working on right now in the market, in Thailand, but also in the rest of Southeast Asia and in Asia more generally, is the introduction of contactless payments, QR code payments, Visa token services. So the token is very important because this is the platform, the secure platform that's going to power mobile payment, card on file, but also Internet of Things in the future, right? And also 3DS 2.0, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. So I think this is the first trend I want to mention, but like the second trend I want to mention is like the opening of the system. And what I mean about that is that at Visa we've been around for over 60 years now, and obviously we've been very successful. We have a platform that can process 60,000 transactions a second with a very high level of reliability, and then we connect 16,000 banks, 3.2 billion consumers globally to 46 million merchants. But what we've done in the last 2 to 3 years is like transforming this network to basically give access to our product and solutions to the banks, but also to the large e-com player, to the social media platform maybe, to be able to access our payment technology through APIs. So in this platform is called the Visa Developer Platform. And I would say, so if you think about those solutions, the availability of those solutions through API, I think that the third trend I want to mention is the user experience, because we talked about the technology and how to make payment faster, safer, but what's going to make it more convenient is to ensure that in a digital world we have the greatest user experience. So at Visa, what we do is we use human-centered design in everything we do, in the solution we develop, the new product that we are launching. But also we are using this approach to collaborate with our partners, whether they are the banks, the clients, whether they are the other platforms, in order to create the best experience for the consumers and the merchants. So those three things, so like the technology, the platform, and the experience.
Oh, right. I think Visa has done a lot and has planned to do a lot in the future too. I also believe that when I went visit the Visa office in Singapore, I've seen a lot of the innovation labs going, improving all the times. So next, talking with the big banks, with Memony, it's become very, very popular. Even I have seen the Memony, a lot of Memony today. So what is the SCB looking for the SME and consumer financial solutions?
First, I have to say when I sit in this panel, or actually probably the whole audience will feel what's the banks like. I would say that you think the banks like dinosaur, right?
Are we?
Yeah, if you sit with like people, and people love to eat this juicy fat dinosaur, which is seems outdated, right? So that's probably the bank, and I like Brett King. He quote in, I think it's in his new book, like banking will be everywhere except at bank, which is sounds fascinating for someone outside the bank, but sounds so scary inside the bank, right? So what we have to do, of course, we have to transform the dinosaur. We are 111 years old dinosaur. So we are not that young dinosaur. So how do you transform it, right? So that's why we call upside down. Bank have to do a lot of things that to at least to survive, to please customer, to try to talk about customer engagement, which is we never actually done it before. I think the first we survived the first comet. We just changed the whole infrastructure. Bank on one hand is like utility. The number is quite scary. Luckily that we changed the whole infrastructure 10 months ago. The first 1 million transactions per day came last August. It takes us 5 years to get 1 million transactions per day. Last month we get another 1 million, now 2 million transactions per day. So now 5 months only, we double our own capacity, not capacity, our usage. So this is how scary it is. Luckily that if we didn't actually change the whole platform, I think we will be dead by now. So now we passed the first one. But I think the next two is huge, and we have to be able to do it well. Secondly, we as a bank, we have to be able to become relevant as a platform. Now, if you think in your mobile phone now, most of the platform, I would say all the platform is actually non-Thai. Right? You use Line, you use Facebook, Google, even you listen music to Jukes. Right? Only possible platform on your mobile phone will be mobile banking, but not for long. But at least we have a chance because regulators still protect us. So we have chance. It's not because we are good, but we get some handicap for a couple of years, I would say. But slowly we would be taken away on that part. So how can we become a relevant platform on this? So that's why we do a lot of campaign. We try to be lifestyle banking. We put a lot of things in experimental phase on the SCB Easy. Now we grow well, but our size still around 6 million, still not compared to Line or Rapid Line Pay. We even smaller than Jukes at the moment. Let's see the scale of platform banks still small. So we have to learn a lot and become more relevant. Now we are under the part of building the platform, secondly. But hopefully consumer will benefit a lot of what we are doing. But thirdly, this is also the paradigm shift of the bank. We have to be able to move from today current business, which is we are like asset-based lending. In Thai, you can say we are like โรงรับจำนำ. We the whole 111 year, our expertise is evaluating asset and make risk profile on that kind of specialty. It's like GM making car based on gasoline. So you know how to do that. But if you want to do electric car, it's totally different. So the same thing now not in the near future, because you can see from China and from Marcus in US. Now, because of big data, social media. So now you talk about information-based lending, which is will have an immense impact to the society, because in the past, we lend to people based on, you charge high margin for good one to cover the bad one. So with information-based lending, the good one will get fair interest if you can do it right. Or if the bank cannot do it right, someone will do it. So how can the bank move from engine-based knowledge, gasoline-based knowledge to electric car? How can you do that? So now you see our attempts, so would say trying to transform ourselves so drastic, so we can actually be that instead of someone doing it for us. So actually now the three part, we try to be a very good utility for the time being. So people don't have to worry. It's like electricity. We will not like have a system shut down at the end of the month, things like that. That's nobody will think of us in that way. Bank is boring. Secondly, you have to move from bank is boring to bank is fun on the platform. And by providing something that people can engage and have some useful item on them. And thirdly, we have to be able to use data as a business. So if we cannot do the last two, we actually supposed to die in the probably disgrace way. So now we have to be able to do that. So now bank is on the state of big transformation, and hopefully by using customer as the center, then we can transform ourselves.
So before entering to this room, Kun Thana tell me that don't ask me a lot. I don't want to speak a lot.
Oh, bank is not sexy, you know.
But after starting, he can go very fluently and very interesting topic. Then I would ask Kun Thana again. Okay. Talking about the, in this session, we are talking about the customer experience or user experience that everyone keep talking about this one. With the relating to the customer experience with the mobile shopping, mobile shoppers. So how would SCB or you yourself, thinking about what the best customer experience to provide to this mainly on the millennial Thais?
Yeah, I would say customer experience actually is the word. It's a very dynamic word. Yes, last year customer and this year customer actually totally different. I think mainly because I would say even as a human, 150,000 years ago, we are like, we are Homo sapien, right? We not really change our behavior. We hunter and gather and come back and eat around the family. And then last 10 years, since Steve Jobs put iPhone on the table and social media and big data. So now at the family table, we don't actually talk to each other anymore. It's a micro moment. So people use this. So this is the key to customer experience. What changed is not technology. Customer expectation change. Now, if you can ask yourself, now people don't tolerate anything that long. So it's the word of more so-called now. Have to be now. Everything have to be now. And the bank and the gap between not bank, I think any other business, customer change exponentially, but most of the business change on the linear. Slow linear, right? You improve KPI by 30%, by 20%, you think you're great. But customers change a lot. So this gap, that's why you have startup, you have platform come. We suddenly become dinosaur. We suddenly become expensive, become slow. Like, for example, when you call center and your credit card have problem and call center suspend your credit card, call center today will tell you that, okay, we will get back to you within, most bank will be within 60 days. Can you tolerate that? No, right? You probably move
how many days?
60.
Wow.
Actually improve from 90, which is 50% efficiency.
It's much better than 30 days, 33% improvement.
Yeah. But then someone that can offer solution for 1 day or 1 hour will replace us, right? So now everything has to be in an hour or a day or everything have to be on this. So bank have to respond to the need of now. So how many can you do within a short period of time? That's probably the challenging. So our customer experience actually move to now and not excuse of the cost of the. For example, branch. Yeah, we talk about reducing branch, but you never see Google, Facebook branch because they no need branch in the new banking paradigm. That banking will be everywhere except bank. So how do the bank change ourselves upside down? We say to respond to customer this quick. At any cost, otherwise someone will replace us. So that's our customer experience that we have to aim to, but still a long way to go.
All right, thank you, Kap. Then Francois, since Kun Thana mentioned about the payment space on the credit card, and you are the big player in these regions. How would you see about the customer experience? How would Visa see about the customer experience?
So, like I was saying in introduction, I think what we want is make the customer experience like safer, faster, and more convenient. So, to this extent, there's basically a number of solutions that we are planning to introduce to the market. The first one is a contactless payment. So it has been actually in Thailand for a little bit now, but it hasn't had the success yet in Thailand that it has had in other markets. If we look at Australia, for instance, 92% of transactions in Australia that we see today are made via contactless. So consumers don't swipe or dip their card anymore. Now they've used to tap the card, right? In Singapore, we've had a lot of success as well. Almost 70% of transactions are contactless. So we want to accelerate this, and we want to sort of expand this technology to other markets, including in Thailand. And we think it's important because this is actually going to enable first, this is the best consumer experience possible. This is fast. But also this is going to enable a lot of new use cases. So you can imagine that tomorrow you'll be able to take the bus or the MRT, for instance, by tapping your card, your Visa card, and you can do it in Thailand, but you can also do it when you travel to Singapore, when you travel to London. And also what it's going to do is open up the opportunity to start paying with mobile phone. Yeah, so it's already the case in Thailand. Samsung Pay is live already. But again, this hasn't had the scale that it deserves yet. Like in other markets, it has had a lot more success. So for us, contactless is very important because it addresses basically the consumer experience with the cards. But I think more importantly, it also paves the way to mobile contactless payment. What is going to make mobile contactless payment, though, successful is tokenization. Like I said earlier in introduction, this in the future we won't be talking about cards anymore. We will be talking about credentials, and so the Visa number will be in your phone, will be in your fridge, will be in your washing machine, and so on and so forth. It will be on this e-commerce merchant, on this other e-commerce merchant. And what that means is like as the number is everywhere, obviously increases the risk of the transaction, right? So that's why we're bringing Visa Token Service. Visa Token Service is actually the standardized way. This was mentioned in a previous panel. This is the standardized way of replacing the CAN number every time it is stored in a new device. So we want to basically introduce and push this technology to new use case in order to secure the infrastructure in Thailand on mobile, but also on e-commerce and prepare for the future. The other thing we want to do is introduce 3D Secure 2.0. I think you're all used to like the e-commerce transaction today, when you are on this merchant website and you spend a lot of time basically like filling the cart and like entering all your card details, and this is now the last step when you're about to receive your one-time password, and this one-time password doesn't arrive. Yeah, and this is extremely frustrating because you're not able to finish the transaction. Today, this friction is actually not necessary for 90% of the transaction, because not every transaction is actually that risky, right? If it's a transaction that has been made from the same mobile, from the same Wi-Fi network, at the same merchant, if it's a low amount transaction, it probably doesn't need to be like a one-time password every time, right? So, and this is what 3D Secure 2.0 is going to introduce, the ability for the banks and the merchants to basically select which transaction needs to be stepped up with an OTP, so that to reduce the inconvenience to the consumer and be able to finish off those transactions. And I think that the last thing is QR code payment. We've seen it has had a massive success obviously in China. So we know there is like the QR code payment is going to be successful, right? So in Thailand, what we have done is like and together in partnership with the Bank of Thailand and the other schemes, is standardized the specification for QR. And what it has enabled us is basically to launch QR already in Thailand. And this year is going to be the year where together with our clients and partners, we're going to deploy at scale QR code payment in Thailand.
Okay, so Francois, you talk about the Samsung Pay is already exiting in Thailand. So do you know when? I think many people here are using iPhone. So will iPhone launch? Will Apple launch the Apple Pay in Thailand? Just short answers.
Yeah, no, the short answer is no, and it's not for me to make this type of announcement. This is really for Apple. So,
I want to throw this one
next time
away.
you invite Apple, and they can tell you.
Take too long for them to come. So if Contactless comes, probably Apple Pay will come here. Okay, next, the same question, a short answer from you, Mr. Lee, about the customer experience with Rabbit Line Pay.
From the mobile payment service provider point of view, the two things I want to focus on. The first one is constant UX and UI upgrade improvement. So today is since it's a panel discussion, so I was not able to provide any presentation file. So it's small phone, but I need to get a new phone from AIS. So this is the screenshot of our current UX. So if you take a look at it, we call it More tab. At the last tab, we have only Pay icon. But beginning from last week in Japan, we applied. So if you take a look at it, we show the remaining balance, and it's a bit hard to see. It's too small. But we offer direct access to money transfer or most of the key payment features in Japan. And the overall traffic went up quite a lot just because of changing the UX and UI. So we've been getting quite a lot of complaints from the user. Too many buttons I need to click in order to use Rabbit Line Pay. But since we are ready for this BTS service and also AI service and many other services, we thought we are ready to expose Rabbit Line Pay on the service front. So we keep on changing the UX and UI. So I've been here for 7 years, and first when we came to Thailand market, the UX was completely different from now, the line UX. But every quarter or even every month, we've been changing, keep on improving the UX and UI. That's the first thing. And the second thing, online to offline. So actually, online to offline is yakmak, not easy at all. So many players in the market may be facing the similar issue, even Visa, maybe. But we constantly keep on trying to bridge between online and offline because everybody has smartphone. So many people have some misunderstanding. So people think smartphone is omnipotent. Oh, you can do whatever now. But actually, which is not true. You can do whatever within the cyberspace. If it's within Line platform, between your friends, because they have the phone and they have the messenger, and they are connected through telco, such as AIS. I'm not sure about other telcos, but so we are all connected through the cyberspace, but payment is a different story. So we are still trying to bridge between the people because people have smartphone. Everybody, tukon in this room have smartphone, 토라사무트, but payment area is not ready to accept. So basically, there is a tangduan. Everybody have the car and they are ready to drive, and Line is sort of one of the tangduan that everybody is using every day. But at the end, now still we need to bridge between the tangduan and the user. So that's not an easy job. So let me give you Yang Chan. So first example is a simple thing. With one of our partners is actually Curry Express. And the main reason we were partnering with Curry, first of all, it's the only company, only the logistics company in Thailand. All the delivery guys, they have over 3,000 courier men, and they deliver all the parcels every day, and everybody has smartphone. So we were able to provide a service called Line Pay on Delivery. So every day we are getting quite a lot of transaction because Thailand is a cash-on delivery country. And we are now trying to convert in order to acquire the user. We are converting this cash payment into mobile payment. And we allow the user whether to use e-wallet or credit card. How is possible? Because carry delivery guys, they are all ready with the smartphone. And all the user, they are ready with Line Messenger. This is how we can bridge between the users and basically between buyer and seller. And the second Yangchen is BTS. This one, as I said, we are planning to launch in June. But next time when you go to Satani, then you will see that it's completely offline actually. People consider already people are using electronic payment. Rabbit card is actually an electronic payment, and Rabbit also has C6 license from BOT. And Rabbit Line Pay also has C6 license, but the nature or the system of the service is quite different. Rabbit is offline, Rabbit card is offline, and Rabbit Line Pay, we are trying to be online and mobile. So in the past 2 years, very difficult, but we've been trying to integrate between this whole transportation, mass transit offline system to be mobile. So this one, this is the example. So I'd like to focus on, stress the two things, the UX and UI improvement, and second thing is O2O.
So in June, Rabbit Line Pay can be used in the BTS.
Yeah, but I cannot disclose too much detail, but
Okay.
we'll do
You already told us.
a
Sorry.
lot of promotion, including some free BTS ride.
Okay.
So you will get to know.
We are waiting for that. By the way, Mr. Lee, how long have you been in Thailand?
7 ปีที่แล้วครับ
กี่ปีแล้วครับ
7 ปี
7 ปีแล้ว Oh, very good in Thai นะครับ
So by the way, one thing to comment.
Yes.
Rabbit Line Pay is not a foreign company.
Yeah.
It's not a foreign company. It's a local domestic company
Thai company.
working on the BOT regulation.
Okay.
So
So you mean that you are very good boy to the BOT, same as SCB and Krungศรี Okay. All right. Okay. Just short answer from you. Omiseko and customer experience, how this is related?
So let's first define what a customer is for Omisego. It's quite a broad definition because when you're an infrastructure player, that it's an open source infrastructure play, and it's an infrastructure play that is very inclusive. What you have is you have a customer base that is both businesses and is end users as well, right? So both, like, I mean, you know, Francois and Mr. Lee from Visa and Line, respectively, make really good points about you know, making sure that the product is, you know, is good in the hands of people, that people are able to actually use it. It's multi-purpose. The UX is good, and that ultimately there is a connection between people's, you know, the totality of people's lives, and that would largely be offline, as well as the online aspects, right? So when we consider that for, you know, Omisego building the OMG network on public Ethereum technology, when we consider that the customer base is everybody that has to deal with these issues, as well as everybody that is trying to provide solutions to these issues, then we consider that a lot of this work may actually be better for other people to do, right? Like people that already have this very, very large customer base that they need to handle services for and constantly upgrade their services for and find future-proof ways. We believe that actually putting a very strong public infrastructure layer underneath, you know, like when users are sending money around to each other, right? Like they're doing it out of a liquidity pool. Should this liquidity pool be in the hands of a private organization, or should the liquidity pool be in the hands of essentially a cryptographically enforced construction that allows all the people that have a stake, you know, that like that's essentially, it's their money, that they have a voice in controlling how the liquidity is managed. You know, should the network, for example, you know, Visa offers these wonderful services, like you were talking about, like Visa account, we're not talking about Visa card anymore. It's very clear that an organization, a network like Visa, is going to have a place in the new economy. The question is, like, at what layer is that most appropriate? And I think that one of the things that we can say is that even Visa would benefit from having access to an underlying infrastructure that is publicly run, publicly managed, and by publicly, I don't necessarily mean nation state, I mean people, right? And like before you start thinking about communism and socialism, that's not it. Very, very different. It's a new type of paradigm. It's a new way of thinking that we've really only had access to in less than the last 10 years. It's actually the fundamental insight of blockchain, is how do we solve coordination problems so that private entities don't have to take responsibility for the deepest and essentially the most risky part of the infrastructure. And we think that providing this layer, providing the correct incentives for everyone, from like the smallest, most insignificant consumer to the largest and most powerful institutional incumbent, providing a network where they can all participate and it's actually a win-win-win situation for everyone is really the best way that we can work towards delivering something that is guaranteed going to be better for the customer in the end.
Okay, so after this session, Visa and Omiseko can shake hands and collaborate and announce, okay?
No announcement, no.
Okay.
You don't know what that means in
Everyone
the
is waiting
world.
for Omiseko. Okay, so this is the end of the general question about the customer experience and the how is the fintechs going on this SME and consumer financial. Then we go to ask on each panelist on what are they doing and what they are thinking about. Starting with Pijo Thana from SCB. Since Bank of Thailand already allow banks to do the e-commerce, so what SCBs are trying to, as well as money plans in the future?
I think it's for under one umbrella that we have to be able to use data as our new business, right? So e-commerce provide us data if we can actually do that, and QR, the new standard QR also provide data if we can actually have enough market share and transaction. So first of all, e-marketplace or e-commerce, bank should not do it by ourselves. We will screw it up for sure. We are not born to do e-marketplace. We are not trained for it. So we have to partner with someone. But of course, the difficult part is that if you look in the e-marketplace, B2C, not even B2B in Thailand, B2C, there's no one that we can this all giant from abroad. So now still, I think it's the very early stage of how to do it. But secondly, on QR, the reason that we go QR in a very aggressive way, and luckily that we create a character of money, and it go very well now. It's become the holy figure of a lot of and a lot of believers actually try to collect money and put on the worship, which is good because what we need is chicken and egg. So we need chicken first that all the merchant, small SME actually display and try to use it. We're not, it's because of the belief or because it's actually useful, but it's okay for us. So now we have around 700,000 already. So hopefully we reach 1 million, and then half of that is active, so not so bad. So what we need from what we're doing is, of course, data. Now we are testing at Abacus, our subsidiary is doing the model called alternative credit scoring, trying to use information that we get from money and try to lend to the small merchant that we actually put money on. So it's actually, I think we have the booth outside also to show the early stage of development. So that's the first one. Secondly, I think it's the taste of what the bank would have to do that in this disruptive world. When we use QR code and walk to, of course, people like money and they put on their shelf. But the question is, the very first question that we actually receive is that how can I know that money is actually coming in? In the beginning, we said that, okay, you have to apply SMS, which is a monthly fee of 29 baht, and only 500 baht and up that we will notify you. But I actually sell something around 20 baht. Now, this is the typical bank that we want to make money of everything. But customer experience, they want something 1 baht, you have to tell me now, real time. So what we decide, and I think it's a very good sign of SCB, I mean, as SCB management, that we can make this decision that, okay, forget SMS, we forget, I can tell you 600 million baht revenue per year. It's not technology, it's about how, if you put customer first and you listen and you scare off the disruptive world, you have to make this kind of decision. Okay, now we work with Line, and now we can notify real time online with no charge at starting from 1 baht transaction. And it's actually become very popular. Now we have around 1.3 million users. So combined with money, then it's become a real solution for SSME or the merchant. So I think from what we learned from money is a couple of things. One is data is a new business. We have to be able to read, so that's why expand fast. And secondly, we have to learn to make decisions based on customer experience, which is, it's painful. But I think we are, if we have to survive, we have to be able to do both customer experience and data as a new business.
Okay, thank you, Kap. So tomorrow, will you be able to give free money to all of us here?
Yes, actually.
I wanted with the worship one.
Yeah, if you do QR code with us and you have a store, it's free.
We are not.
Otherwise, people actually speculate in the e-commerce website. It's 700 baht now.
How much now?
700.
You can't compare with BNK48 picture. It's already 470,000 baht. Okay, but yeah, that's a very success story. I heard that you already create the money by yourself, right?
Oh, it's actually from my daughters.
Oh, your daughters, okay.
My daughter's name Mani, and then people always tease her as money. So it's just back on the head. So when we need a name, it just pop up.
All right.
And since I'm the boss, so people have to.
Okay. So you sell the IP already.
Yeah.
Thank you, Capito. Francois, from Visa standpoint, what will be the roadmap? And if you already mentioned, so and what will you be collaborating with the fintech startups from Visa standpoint of view?
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say, because like the question I often gets is like, are you collaborating or are you competing with the fintech?
Yeah, correct.
And I think clearly, yeah, we are collaborating, right? I think I've mentioned the roadmap, like the product, the solutions that we wanted to to launch and to deploy in this market. And for this, we would need actually the fintech actually to to work with us, to work with the banks in order to enable all those technology to actually deploy to the market, right? So I mentioned contactless payment, for instance. So if you're like a POS terminal provider or like a cash register provider, then we will need those solutions to actually be replaced to support contactless payments in Thailand. In the same way, if we want to, deploy 3DS 2.0, like if you're like an ACS provider, a payment gateway provider, then you have a role to play in order to, work with the merchants and work with the banks in the market in order to help scale the technology. And the way we collaborate with the fintech is a few folds, right? I think the first one is I mentioned earlier that we've actually opened the edges of our network through the Visa developer platform. So we've now made our product and solutions available through API. So if you're like an issuer host provider, if you're a payment gateway, you can now access our technology and then make it available to your clients a lot more easily than it used to be, right? But I would say on the other way around, like if you're, if you have a great technology, especially in the fields of like biometrics, we talked about biometrics earlier, fingerprint, voice recognition, face recognition, passport authentication. Then we launched the Visa identity platform a few months back, right? And so if you have a technology that is relevant, that you can actually deploy in this market, please come and talk to us, because we can also help you, scaling your technology by making it available through our developer platform, our API platform. And I would say the last thing is like is this innovation lab that we discussed before, and I think you've been there before, so you know what I'm talking about. But this is a place where we want to spend some time with our traditional clients, but also with our less traditional clients and the fintech players, and develop the experience of the future, right? And so, like, if you're like again, if you're a social media provider, an e-commerce platform, if you are a fintech provider, you have a pain point, or there is an opportunity in the market, please come and talk to us, and together let's develop the product for this market. So I would say those are definitely we collaborate with the FinTech, and this is how we collaborate with the FinTech. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That Visa is opening to talk and collaborate with FinTech right now. And if suppose that a Thai FinTech, so they can connect to even through API and that you offer to them, right? So you have the API.
Yeah, so we have the what we call the Visa Developer Platform. So
Okay.
this is actually a platform that you can access. It's actually public,
Okay.
and through that platform you can access all the technology that I mentioned before. So and all the documentation and all the API, and we have like a sandbox. So if you're a startup or a FinTech and you want to test a new technology, then you can connect to our sandbox and actually start using your new use case, right?
Okay. So thank you. So Mr. Lee, talking about the e-wallet, what are the key success factors to be leader in e-wallet in these regions? As I heard that like Alipay, the way that one of the success factor in China that since when Alipay introduced the wallet in China, they attract the customer by giving a lot of interest rate for customer to remit the money to Alipay, and then that's a fierce for the bank. So what are the key success factor that you think, and will it be the same as Alipay?
Actually, I was a bit 독자인นิดหน่อย because it was the number 3 question, but MC was asking me the number 3 question.
Oh yeah, 2 and 3 together.
Yeah. So I was preparing for the first and second question, but I can move on to the number 3.
Okay.
So actually, it's a difficult question though, because I'm sitting at BOT, and we are on the very kind BOT guidelines. And so, as a e-money service provider, we cannot provide interest. So it's a quite difficult topic to discuss about, but we are good at giving the user incentives. So first of all, it doesn't have to be interest. So if we just compete against the bank, and I think the chances are quite low to win. And it's not just the interest issue, but also the trust issue. Yeah. So as a latecomer, actually Rabbit Line Pay is a newcomer in the market. So it's been only about a bit over than 2 years since we got C6 license. And some players like MPay or True Money have been here for 10B already. Yeah. And we've been here only for 2 years. But so far, we've been building up the basic infrastructure. And then we are beginning to offer the user incentives. And I would say there are many, many, many different types of user incentives. It doesn't have to be just similar to bank interest. And one more thing, in our roadmap, we have also another plan in order to innovate our service to the next level. But this one I cannot talk. It's business confidential. So even in this room, we've been discussing with some of the partners. And hi. So Line as a platform with 41, well now it's 43 MAU. So as long as we are loved by Thai users, then this kind of FinTech or payment or money transfer area, money-related services, the must-have thing to do. We have to figure out the way. And then we've been really, every day we are having a lot of discussion with many local partners. So that could be my answer to the question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. So let me jump to the question from the audience. So for you, Thomas, there are so many questions here when they were talking about the speed of the Omise Go. So what are the reasons to support on that fast on the Omise Go, on the speed? So you're talking about 1 million transactions per second. How can it be? So many questions about this. Can you briefly, shortly explain that?
So in short, it's to do with how plasma architecture is basically like putting a blockchain inside a blockchain, inside another blockchain, inside another blockchain, and using like a MapReduce function to build out this like entire tree of many blockchains that are processing in parallel, and then reducing the results down. And so you have this kind of like map reduce that happens, and if you are mapping it out to enough what are called child chains in the system, then you can get up to 1 million or more transactions per second, while at the same time also having the security of what's called the root chain, which in this case is Ethereum. And to attack the Ethereum network, or for example the Bitcoin network, is very, very expensive, and it doesn't really tend to succeed. So you can have both the transaction speed, the scalability, and ultimately the usability of a network that is totally distributed and economically secure at the same time. And it doesn't need a middleman. It doesn't need either a multinational corporation or like a very powerful nation state to secure this network. The network can actually be secured by literally thousands of people that are all rationally self-interested economic actors that can be counted on to play the game, like game theoretic game, a certain way. And so that essentially is how you can get up to millions of transactions per second, while still running a secure server.
Okay, so we are waiting for that. Come to the other question for Picho. So there are many persons also happy with the mere money, and they said, how will Thailand? Okay, thank you. How will Thailand be the cashless societies? And what are the main factors?
I think we have a good start because with the standard QR code. This is probably I think I would put as the most innovative solution from Thai government ever in my life, actually, because otherwise we don't really have any innovative.
We should be the very first country.
Yeah. So that's helped a lot, and that's the first thing. And I think secondly is more than just a standard QR code, right? Prompt Pay was designed to have zero cost. So that's also, people will use it if it's convenient, it's free, it's fast, and it's better for their life. So now it's zero cost. So that's another foundation, which is good. I think the next thing is probably, I would say, competition. Actually, competition and promotion. Now, I think if more banks come into play, I think it will transform it fast. Actually, I have a very good case in the small test lab in SCB. We use food court. Food court. In the beginning, we actually forced people to use QR, and we got a lot of against most of the merchants is against us.
So no cash?
Because transaction drop. People that around in SCB building is not just SCB employee, that's Chevron and other also. So then transaction drop. It's almost protest, and then people start to gang up. So what we actually learn is that first we force, but if you don't force, people will not use. In the beginning, people use only, when we start without forcing, people use around 20% out of 100%. So they just try. But when we force 100%, but transaction drop around 40%. So all the merchant cannot survive. So what we do, we put promotion every Friday, half price for 4 weeks in January. Of course, volume go up very high and people use a lot. And interestingly, after we stop promotion and we still force people, but we open a cash lane, but it make it quite difficult. But actually now 80% of people without promotion using cashless. So now what we learn, actually promotion, and you have to be able to convince people to try. Once they try, and merchant is happy because you have, it's free of charge. You have, the money in and out instantly, and it's convenient. Now we see a very good transaction. So, and with the help of other solution also, because cashless is not just QR, right? It's everything from the whole panel is about cashless. So if competition and new innovative solution that solve a customer problem, then I think I believe it will come in a very big way, and it will bring a lot of innovation also. It's not just pay like this, right? Vending machine now, we will be able to use vending machine in Thailand. In the past, you cannot buy Coke at 13 baht, right? It's so painful because you always have it 12 baht. And you're always short of 1 or 2 baht. So now all vending machine can be able
Use
to
the QR.
and other solution that humanless transaction like flower shop and everything, people will come up with good solution. B2B, already people start to do a lot of B2B. I believe that you will see a big jump this year, next year. Yeah.
So can you do the same promotion at BOT canteen? Like
Now we
50%?
do 300 get 60, which is cost a lot already. So we need Kung Si to put more
Support.
promotion.
Okay, we can enjoy. Okay, question to Mr. Lee from Line Pay. So do the Line Pay facilitate cross-border payment such as Line Japan, Line Indonesia, or the system are fully interconnected? That's a question from audience.
Oh, really? By the way, I
Not for
want
me.
to complain to the MC. Since Line is not international mobile messenger, we are popular in some countries. So actually Line started from Japan in the beginning. So, and Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, these are the key countries that we have. So in those countries, we are preparing the cross-border transaction. And still we need to have some additional partner. So we are discussing with 3 to 4 different partners. But from Rabbit Line Pay point of view, the local success should be the precondition. So without enough Thai user visiting Japan, Taiwan, or Indonesia, or some other countries, so it will be less effective. So domestic success should be the first one.
Okay, so domestic one first. After that, we can go somewhere else. All right. For Francois, very interesting question. For Visa, once we have QR codes directly debiting and moving money to the merchants at virtually no cost, who need the credit card companies? Was my ex-company Krung Si credit card surviving? Or SCB card still survive or not?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you still need a source of fund, right? So this doesn't change. What changes is basically the channel in which you move the money. So like today already you can move money from your account, and that would be like through a debit card, or you can actually borrow money and you move it through a credit card. So with QR code, basically what we're enabling is like moving money from a credit, debit, or prepaid card. So this doesn't change. I think what changes is like the perception to the consumer, who's now like the one who's initiating the transaction, right? And this is very important, and because what that means is like the consumer is actually getting the merchant information and pushing the transaction to the merchant. So there is a feeling to the consumer of like security, because he doesn't have to basically hand over his card or his payment credential. Yeah. So we think even for credit, this will have a great momentum in this market.
Okay, so still need the credit card company to be used source of fund.
Yes.
Okay, luckily we still survive. All right, okay. Thomas, since you are, I think, very popular for the questions, just not that difficult for you. How about the progress usage of Omise Go open platform? I think you already mentioned. How many wallet providers use the open platform?
It's still in a closed beta, so I can't say. And actually, I don't even know what the latest figures are. More and more have been signing up. Where are these questions coming from? Is it?
Someone in this room.
Oh, okay.
Of course, not me.
Okay. Yeah, so...
Maybe they want to join.
Yeah. Do you want maybe another question? I can't talk about it.
Okay, but that's okay, that's okay. All right, okay. Back to Pijo, SCB. For SCB specifically, Line and WeChat have uses other than payment. which people use up many times a day. What can mobile banking apps provide which would make consumer open the app many times a day beside the payment? So I think they were talking about super mobile application like WeChat or the Line. So how can banking as a lifestyle?
Yeah, we actually, now what bank have to do is probably the same as other startup, that we have to try, learn fast, fail fast, and move on. What we try, actually, we find out, what we found out in the last 6 months, that people will not come to mobile banking and read news information or listen to music. We try and then it doesn't work. People come to bank to do transaction. So we have to be transaction related activities, which is not probably not as often. Our KPI probably is not the frequency of visiting, but rather the amount or the activeness of transaction. So the latest one that we put on is you can book movie ticket, just one seamless experience that on with SF, that you can just go book the seat. So it's actually very good, because I just used it last week, that in an hour I have to go to a movie, and then I don't want to be a long queue, and I want good seat, so I can actually book 2 tickets.
Who did you go with?
Oh,
Your wife?
my
Okay.
daughter.
Okay. Oh, your daughter. Okay.
So without going to the line, and just go and with QR code
Very fast.
line. So this kind of thing, we have to be transaction related, and we have to have a partner that provide some interest, because bank is boring. So you have to team up with someone and make it seamless. Like donation, we do it with Hitoon Body Slam.
Yes.
So that's also work very well for most of the, I would say more than 50% with on electronic transaction, not the
Cash.
not cash on the road. Actually, more than 50% come from SBEC. Number of transaction is okay, but the amount per transaction is huge. It's around for almost 500 baht per transaction, compared to SMS is 10 baht. So now we slowly learn that, okay, we have to be part of these activities or partners like this that touch people hard. So more and more will come. And actually, further than that, we have to set up a new standard for mobile banking in Thailand. That probably, I would say, you have to wait for March 28 and you'll see what we'll do. It probably will change the whole landscape of mobile banking. I can say that.
You can say that. Can you say something now?
This is probably the most wanted thing that people want bank to do.
Okay.
And bank is reluctant to do it. So March 28,
This March 28.
yes. So it's
Okay, so
only
we need to
few
mark the
weeks
date.
to come. So that will actually probably answer a lot of questions, that how can we become medium-sized platform. I would say not medium-sized, mean like close to 10 million active user around Juk's level, not Line or not Facebook. We still not touch it. At least we should be about medium size. So we at least we have some say or some negotiating power in the future. So we try to push to 10 million. So March 28th is Kamikaze Day, I can say.
Kamikaze. Okay. So I think we would see the trend of the mobile banking in the future, starting with HCB going to be in terms of lifestyle banking, just only boring bank anymore. So we can see fun bank in the future too. For Francois, specifically for you, for the future trend, what is the view combining payment and AI, artificial intelligence? Hope it's not difficult for you, Mr. Head of Innovation.
Repeat the question, sorry.
Payment and AI.
Payment and AI, yeah.
Yeah, how it's gonna be?
So I think it's a bit early to say. Obviously, like we're very curious about all sorts of innovation, including artificial intelligence, right? So we are doing experiments at this stage. There's not an application that is live yet that I can talk about, but definitely, yeah, there will be a future, whether this is for being able to analyze and predict transaction patterns and then make better decisions, whether it is to be able to interact with the consumer in a better way, and thinking about chatbot, for instance, with a combination of artificial intelligence. So there are a number of applications that you can see in payment, not just in payment, but in the way that banks and others will interact with their customers. So yeah, this is coming.
Great. So we can see a lot in the future, and we have more data to learn. Okay. Anyone can answer these questions. You can raise your hand up if you want it. Soon, there will be the national ID projects, and FinTech laws is coming out, basically meant on eKYC. This will be the game changer for Thailand?
This is for me as well.
Anyone?
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to take it. I think it's. I think it will be. Yeah. If you look at the customer journey, we've been talking about payment and the payment experience, but before they can actually be a payment, like the consumer and the merchant actually must be enabled through the ecosystem, right? And today, when we look at the consumer and merchant onboarding, we see that actually this is not optimal. Like it's still very difficult, cumbersome for consumers to go or merchants to go and open a bank account, for instance. And maybe not so much in Thailand, but in some other countries, like I'm thinking about Cambodia, for instance. Sometimes it can be also intimidating, because then population are not always used to to do this. Like in Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, only 30% of the population is banked, 15% in Cambodia. So I think having a central ID repository where basically that the banks will be able to interrogate, as a consumer is trying to onboard to open a bank account from home instead of having to go to a branch, is going to be game changer, I think, for Thailand.
Okay. Pijo, a little bit on these topics.
Oh,
You're a big bank.
It of course, I think it creates a lot more intense competition, which is always good for consumer competition. I came from telco, so it's the same thing as you do interconnect and open up IMEI. Once its competition is free, consumer always get benefit. And I think you see a lot more innovative solution out of this one. And remember, it's the same thing in customer experience. People want it now and hassle free. So this will answer. Actually, I would say it's a must that we must have it. So we can move to the next level of innovative stuff in Thailand.
Okay, so, this has to thank to Bank of Thailand who really pushing on these projects. I think the last questions, since we are sitting at BOT, so do you need regulator to support you anything? Start Fin, Thomas. Do you want the BOT to support AECs? You can speak out loud.
So the last few days have been quite interesting with, statements made to the media by regulators, officials, authorities from various agencies and ministries. One thing that actually even made it to English language media online was considerations for new tax laws regarding crypto assets. And there's the capital gains laws, which make sense. And then there's the value-added tax proposal, which is actually quite strange. So Japan used to have a value-added tax on crypto. But when it was actually put into place and the effects that occurred, they quickly got rid of it as quickly as possible for moving things through Japanese law anyway. And then Australia also had it for some time, and it completely stifled blockchain space innovation and the tech innovation that trickles down from blockchain, because blockchain's kind of like the cutting edge right now, right? Like whatever happens in blockchain, everyone is going to benefit. So in Australia, the potential for that innovation, development, and growth was pretty much killed by the value-added tax there. They removed it. Things are starting to really pick up again. I think that the worst thing about a value-added tax for cryptocurrency, other than the fact that it doesn't really recognize that crypto assets are not something that it's not like you're really selling like a good or a property that you're okay, well, you've added value to it in the sale. It's not quite. It's a much more fundamental thing. Like, I think that, we should no more put value-added tax on cryptocurrency than we should put value-added tax on electricity or on water. And that's actually not even the worst part. The worst part is right now there's a lot of stuff happening with ICOs, with people wanting to put money into initial coin offerings or token sales. And one very natural barrier that kind of keeps the population of unsophisticated retail investors kind of safe is that it acts as a bit of a filter that in order to participate in an ICO, you have to have an existing major cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin or actually more commonly Ether, the fuel of the Ethereum network. And if you tax the purchase of cryptocurrency, it will naturally incentivize people to try to participate in ICOs with a fiat currency, with Thai baht or US dollar or whatever. And it will incentivize the people who are having the ICO to try to solicit and accept payments. And this may sound like a good idea on one hand because, oh, well, that means that AML KYC should become easier, so we should support this. But actually what happens is that the amount of fraud goes up incredibly high. It goes through the roof because now you are letting people, you are actually actively encouraging people who don't know anything about blockchain, who are unable to buy cryptocurrencies on their own. In fact, they might not even be that familiar with how to use a computer. Now they can just do a bank wire to participate in a decentralized digital economy that, to be quite honest, it's unfortunately too easy for mistakes to happen that can affect people. So actually last year in China, this was a problem. And, as we all know, the regulation came down very heavy, a little bit too heavy maybe. They might even be easing up on it now. We don't really want that to happen in Thailand because Thailand right now has this incredible opportunity, due to the amount of innovation that is happening here and due to the progressiveness and the forward-thinkingness of agencies, such as the TSCC, for example, seems to have quite a deep understanding of how to regulate for the ICO space. And the BOT, from the conversations that I've had and the meetings that I've had, also seems to have quite a good grasp of what crypto economies mean for monetary policy. I think that it might be better if this proposed value-added tax is revisited, not just for the good of the various agencies and not just for the good of the economy, but also for the good of the population.
Okay, since you talk about crypto, I cannot comment anything in a good way, sorry.
Don't talk about price, talk
Okay.
about dynamics and mechanics.
Correct. Okay, so thank you for, so Lee, anything? Since you're a good boy of BOT? So anything for ask for regulator?
basically,
The last one.
Rabbit Line Pay ชอบ BOT มาก
ภาษาไทยแปลว่าอยู่เป็น
whenever it's not a joke. I mean, whenever I had a meeting with BOT, and when I discussed with HQ and my friends in like Korea or Japan, and I always talk about BOT as a good example of Thai elite. Quite smart. Whenever I have a meeting with BOT, it's not just a regulator, but at the same time, BOT always try to promote the new technology, and actually they carry out the plan into the market. So one thing I didn't make a comment, but eKYC, from Line's point of view, is quite important. So we do hope we can save time and carry out the plan. So as I said, this mobile service, all this like hardware, 토라삽, 무트, and Tangduan, and everything is ready. Network is ready. So in Korea, as you know, as BOT officials are well aware of Kakao Bank in Korea, so we already have a good example. In Korea, we had long history of e-commerce and a lot of fraud issues. So the government was trying to protect the user, and without intention, we put a lot of issues, like a lot of hurdles from the user point of view. And later on, it was even become a big issue at the president level. So finally, the government decided to apply perfect eKYC. So Korea already provided very good example. So a lot of mobile payment cases came from China, but Kakao Bank came from Korea. So hopefully we can provide good eKYC service in Thailand sometime very soon.
Okay, thank you. So the very, very last, not questions, but I would like to ask each of you to give the short codes or key takes away. Just a little 20 seconds. Can start from Thomas.
Forgot to think of one. Okay, off the top of my
Okay.
head. I would say that the way to build a future-proof technology that really serves the people is to look at the key insights of blockchain technology that have been had over the last 5 or so years. And I would say that the number one key insight from blockchain is that blockchain itself is not a computer science problem. It's a social coordination problem, and that advances have been made which are sufficient to consider that financial networks at root may no longer need to be run by companies and institutions. It may actually be possible that these financial networks that everyone in society uses, including companies and institutions and countries, is actually run in a completely new, decentralized fashion.
Okay, then, Mr. Lee.
As I said, Rebelline Pay likes BOT so much. That's one thing.
That were your key takeaways.
Another one is bridging between online and offline, online to offline. So I came to Bangkok, as I said, 7 years ago. And 7 years ago, Line was not even the number one messenger. So at the time, even, actually I came with another person. So I was a junior, and I had my manager. But the manager actually quit Barista Line after the trip. He said, he was telling me, he was calling me to the meeting room, and he said, I think it's too early to run a free mobile messenger in Thailand. So I will move to another company. And so you need to think twice, and then, but I didn't follow him, and then I've been staying here. So I think I made a good choice. The point is that we Line, sometimes even I was wondering in the beginning, first year, second year, while we were not making any money and then losing money. And many of my friends at HQ, whenever I went back to Korea, they were asking me, so when can you make a big success in Thailand? When can you make big money? Oh, I couldn't answer to the question. So anyhow, Line has been here for 7 years, and we've been making commitment to the Thai user. So Thailand market is a really, really important market. We never considered ourselves as a Bodhisattva Tangchat. So we will continue to provide better service for Thai user. So hopefully Thailand user will begin to use Rebelline Pay more and more.
Yeah. Okay, Francois, Visa.
So in 20 seconds?
Yes.
So yeah, as I would say that as payment continue to evolve, we're looking forward to continue working with our clients, our partners, with regulators to continue make basically payments safer, faster, more convenient in Thailand. And we are committed to this, and we'll be bringing all this technology that we've been talking about today, contactless, tokenization, QR code payment. This is going to be the year where we're gonna deploy and scale those technologies in Thailand.
Okay, and the final from Picho.
I always like Brett King quote, and I would like to add one more word to that. That banking will be everywhere except at bank soon. So this implication from BOT to us also, I think it's how if you believe in that sentence, I think people believe in that sentence. How should we deal with it? How should we proactively deal with this sentence? Banking will be everywhere except at the bank very soon, including your bank.
Okay.
Thank you.
We need to go together. Thank you. So for me, thank you for the audience. Thank you for attending until the last minute. Can you give a big hand to Thomas from Omisego and Ethereum? Mr. Lee Jin-woo from Rapid Line Pay, Francois from Visa, and Kunjo Thana from SCB. Thank you very much for listening. ขอบคุณมากครับ
All right. Thank you so much, the panelists here, for making a very wonderful session. It's really interesting because we are all customers here and we're expecting something more and we are expecting to pay less. So that's really challenging for banks. So the banking services are not only services, they are like embedded in our lifestyle. They are providing a lot of customer engagement. And a lot of players are not banks anymore, as we can see. They are non-banks, they are FinTech firms or even telcos.
ครับก็จบไปแล้วนะครับสำหรับงานเสวนาสุดท้ายของวันนี้ครับผ่านไปแล้วนะครับ4เสวนาของวันนี้ได้ทั้งข้อมูลแนวคิดนวัตกรรมทางการเงินและการชำระเงินสำหรับวันพรุ่งนี้ครับยังต่อเนื่องและเข้มข้นนะครับกับหัวข้อด้านนวัตกรรมทางการเงินโครงสร้างพื้นฐานและภัยทางไซเบอร์ครับสุดท้ายนะครับขอเรียนเชิญทุกท่านครับร่วมตอบแบบสอบถามนะครับโดยสแกน QR code ที่ขึ้นอยู่บนหน้าจอในขณะนี้นะครับและทุกคำแนะนำของท่านนะครับสำคัญต่อเราครับ
So thank you so very much for being here with us today, and we'll see you again tomorrow. We're going to have 3 different stages again here at the main conference hall. We have the technology talk area and then also the cybersecurity talk area too. So I'll see you again here at 9 o'clock tomorrow. So have a pleasant evening. สวัสดีค่ะ
สำหรับวันนี้นะครับขอให้ทุกท่านเดินทางกลับโดยสวัสดิภาพแล้วพบกันใหม่ครับในวันพรุ่งนี้9 โมงเช้าครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ